All right, let's talk about a big one, cryptocurrency. It's a word you hear everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean? Well, today we're going to cut through all the noise and get right to the core ideas behind digital money. Let's jump in.
So, let's start with a kind of a wild idea. What if you could be your own bank? And I mean really your own bank. What if you could send money to anyone, anywhere on the world, instantly, without a company or a government sitting in the middle? That one question, right there, is the key to understanding why cryptocurrency even exists in the first place.
So what is it exactly? At its heart, a cryptocurrency is just digital money. No coins, no paper bills, just lines of code. But the really revolutionary part is that it's decentralized. And that just means no single bank, no company, no government is in charge. It's the answer to that whole be your own bank question.
Now, this idea of digital cash isn't exactly new. Way back in the 90s, these privacy advocates called cypherpunks tried to create it, but it didn't quite work out. The dream, though, it lived on. And then, boom, 2008, right in the middle of a global financial crisis, this paper shows up online for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. A year later, the mysterious figure Satoshi Nakamoto brings it to life, creates Bitcoin, and sends the first ever transaction of 10 coins.
And that, of course, brings us to the first and still the most famous cryptocurrency of them all. Let's zoom in on the one that really started this whole thing, Bitcoin.
Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around Bitcoin is to just think of it as digital cash. Simple as that. You can use it to send or receive value, just like you would with a dollar bill. But instead of a leather wallet in your pocket, your coins are kept safe in a digital wallet app.
The creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, really hit the nail on the head with this one. The root problem with conventional currencies is all the trust that's required to make it work. And if you think about it, it's so true. You have to trust banks not to make bad decisions, trust governments not to devalue your money. Bitcoin was built to completely remove that need for trust in some central power.
Okay, so if there's no bank, how does a transaction actually work? I mean, how does the money get from point A to point B safely? Let's break that process down. So let's just follow the money. We're going to trace one single transaction, let's say from Alice to Bob, and see exactly how this whole system works without anyone in charge.
Okay, here's how it goes down. Step 1. Alice wants to pay Bob, so she opens her digital wallet and sends some Bitcoin to Bob's public address. You can kind of think of it like an email address. That transaction gets broadcast out to a huge global network of really powerful computers. We call them miners. Now this is where the magic happens. All of these miners race each other to solve a super complex math puzzle. Why? Because the first one to solve it gets the right to confirm Alice's transaction. So a winner bundles her payment along with a bunch of others into a new block. That new block then gets locked onto the end of the previous block, creating a longer chain. And that right there is the blockchain. It's this unbreakable public record of every transaction ever. As soon as her transaction is in that block, it's confirmed, and the Bitcoin officially lands in Bob's wallet.
So that math puzzle I just mentioned, it actually has a name. It's called proof of work, and it's designed to be incredibly hard to solve. It takes a ton of computing power, which costs real money and electricity. By solving it, a miner proves they've done the work. And that cost is exactly what makes it basically impossible for anyone to cheat this system. It's what keeps the whole network secure. So really, the best way to picture the blockchain is like a giant digital receipt book that everyone can see. And once a transaction is added, once a new link is forged in that chain, it's there forever. You can't alter it. To change a transaction from the past, you'd have to resolve the puzzle for that block and every single block that came after it. It's just practically impossible. It's security through pure math.
All right, now that we kind of get how the original blockchain works, it's super important to know that the crypto world is, well, it's way, way bigger than just Bitcoin now. And you'll usually hear about two main types of crypto.
I mean it. Bitcoin was just the starting pistol. Today, there are literally thousands of different cryptocurrencies out there. And for the most part, they all fall into one of two buckets. They're either a coin or they're a token.
So, what's the difference between a coin and a token? It's actually a really important distinction. The short version is this. Coins, like Bitcoin, have their own blockchain. They're like their own form of money. Tokens, on the other hand, don't. They're built to run on top of a blockchain that already exists.
Let's put it another way. Coins are the native currency of their own blockchain. Bitcoin runs on the Bitcoin blockchain. Ether runs on the Ethereum blockchain. They're the fuel that makes their own network go. Tokens are more like apps that run on somebody else's operating system. Think of them like arcade tokens. They have a very specific use inside a specific project. Like maybe they get you access to a service or give you a vote on how the project is run. They're useful, but they rely on the blockchain's existing machinery to actually work.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. Let's finish up by talking about the practical side of all this and then get to the key things you should probably remember.
So to actually use any cryptocurrency, you're going to need something called a digital wallet. It's really just a software app for your phone or computer, and it doesn't really hold your money like a physical wallet does. Instead, it holds your private keys. Those are the secret passwords that give you access to your crypto on the blockchain and let you prove you own it.
And you'll find tons of different wallet options out there. Some, like MetaMask, are almost like a web browser for this new decentralized internet. Others, like the Coinbase wallet, are really well known for being super user-friendly, especially for beginners.
So after all that, what's the bottom line here? What are the biggest upsides of this whole technology, and what are the biggest downsides?
Well, on the plus side, being decentralized means there's no single point of failure. No one can just shut it down. And transactions, especially if you're sending money overseas, can be way faster and cheaper than a typical bank transfer. But the downsides? They are very real. The prices can be incredibly volatile, with huge swings up and down. You can't really spend it in most places yet, and maybe most important, remember, you are your own bank. If you make a mistake and send your money to the wrong address, there's no customer service number to call. That money is just gone.
Which leaves us all with a big question, right? Is this the actual future of money, or is it just a massive, grand experiment? The honest truth is, nobody knows for sure. But now, at least you understand the core ideas that are being put to the test. Thanks for digging into this with us.